Thank you, Dr. Israel. Thomas Jefferson, 1774. Laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined or determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides. For an unarmed man may be attacked with greater competence than an armed man. And you know, we read these kind of quotes and things that we think are common sense are still lost on close to half of our population. So that's one of the things we're up against. Our next speaker is the amazing Sheriff, the amazing Sheriff John Wallace. As you know, John is the sheriff of Jefferson County. He has a wife, Patty Green Wallace, two sons, Christopher and Curtis. Christopher is a police officer in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Curtis is a member of Madison's Finest, Madison Police Department. And he has a daughter, Kelsey, and I think she's the chief rules enforcement officer for the Madison cheerleading squad, right? So anyway, they're all kind of, anyway, Sheriff, can you go up and one other thing, when the speakers are done, we're going to allow 5 minutes or so if you have questions for our individual speakers. We'll allow about 5 minutes for you to ask whatever you want to ask. So, Sheriff Wallace.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. It's an honor to be here with such a distinguished group of people. It's an honor to be here. I'm John Wallace, the Jefferson County Sheriff. Prior to being sheriff, I was on the City of Madison Police Department, where I served as chief for a couple of years, and elected as sheriff in 2010, took office in 2011, and again, I'm honored to be your sheriff. I feel as an elected official, you have the right to know where I stand on these issues, so I'm going to touch upon that just briefly. When I took office, January 1st of 2011, I raised my right hand, and I swore that I would protect and uphold the Constitution of the United States, which obviously includes our Second Amendment, and I firmly plan on doing that. I will let nothing waver, nobody tell me any different, other than what the words in the Constitution say. You know, so many times our elected officials, you know, when something tragic happens, like in Newtown, so many times they want to throw another law at us to make them feel better, to make it look like they're doing something. You know, we have 200 plus, you know, gun laws. You know, is one more going to make it different? They want to outlaw, you know, certain magazines that hold so many rounds. Let me tell you, when a criminal's getting ready to go and commit a crime, the last thing on their mind is, do I have an illegal magazine with me? I can assure you that. I don't have criminals coming to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department and getting handgun permits. I only have our good citizens. I firmly believe the more of our good citizens are armed, the safer we are, and not less safe. Some of the biggest mistakes I think we've made is declaring someplace a gun-free zone.
That's right.
Now, if I'm going to go commit a heinous crime with a gun, that's where I'm going, a gun-free zone, because I face no resistance. But I can assure you, if they think that there's somebody in there armed and trained and ready to take that threat out, they're going to think twice before doing that. So, like I said, I firmly believe that the more our citizens are armed and trained with their weapons, and I always emphasize that, make sure you know how to use that weapon. Don't let that weapon be taken away from you and used against you. Make sure you know how to handle that weapon. The more people, like I said, that we have trained and armed, the safer we are. I think down in Texas several years ago, they were having a big issue. You don't mess with Texas, right? That's a different game altogether, right? But I know they were having a number of issues down there with carjackings. Legislators said, hey, you know what? If you're getting carjacked, shoot them. You got a right to protect yourself. Carjackings dropped tremendously overnight. I think that just says what we believe.
That's right.
You know, our good citizens are not going to be the ones that are out there creating the havoc and breaking the law. It's going to be the ones that could care less about our laws. So one other issue that I'll touch upon real quick is our mental health issues. Now the state of Indiana has cut funding, you know, for our mental health, and so now A lot of the mental health or people with issues are ending up in our jails. Our jails aren't designed to handle mental health issues. We need to go after and look and make sure that these people who do have mental health issues, that do create these risks, that we go out and help them and not just turn our backs on them. And unfortunately, we live in a time where we're just so concerned about being politically correct. And political correctness has got us in a world of hurt right now. We need to face the facts and deal with them as they are. I'll touch upon real quick, because I know it's ever changing, on how to get your Indiana handgun license. And I brought some brochures. Now at the county we're on a tight budget. So if I print out 40, there's usually only about 10 people show up. If I print out 20, then there's 40 people show up. So we'll hand some of these out. If you guys could share that. This is some Indiana handgun information. One of the questions that's always asked of us is what other states accept Indiana's. And as you'll see with this information here, and I know we don't have enough, but we can probably print some more. Or if you want to contact me, I'll be more than happy to drop you one by. But this shows the states in blue that honor Indiana's handgun license. You can safely, I always tell people, you can safely get to Florida on vacation with your license. Just don't go to Ohio and Illinois. And I think we all understand Illinois. But here's the information is here on how to apply for it. Now it used to be you would come down to the sheriff's office, you'd sit down with me, and I'd fill out your application, we'd fingerprint you and send you on your way. Well, things changed last year drastically with handgun permits. In 2011, I think I filled out maybe 25 in the month of January. In 2012, I filled out probably 95. It was just a huge increase. So the state of Indiana has been inundated. It's taking 3 to 4 months to get your handgun license back. I anticipate on that speeding up now because they have changed the format. Now you'll go online and just Google Indiana handgun laws, and it'll take you right to a website called Aries Handgun Permits. You'll fill out your application online. You'll submit it. If you submitted it correctly, you'll get a confirmation number. Once you have that confirmation number, it'll lead you to an area to where you register to have your fingerprints taken electronically. Now, this always sounds bizarre to me, but it's the way it works. You go to the Comfort Inn on Wednesday afternoon from 1 to 4 and get your fingerprints taken in a hotel room. When we see everybody walking in the Comfort Inn, we'll know what's up. But yeah, you'll go Wednesday afternoons from 1 to 4 and get your prints taken. But you'll call prior to that. You'll call a number to make sure that you have a reservation to get those prints taken. After you get those taken, then you'll come down and see me at the sheriff's office, and you'll be there for 4 or 5 minutes. We'll run a background check on you and approve you and get you on your way. But like I said, I anticipate that speeding up. There's quite a bit of information in those flyers that I handed out. A lot of questions that people have, where I can carry, where I can't carry. So it's all pretty informative, and I won't necessarily bore you with all that information, but it's all right there. And if somebody else, like I said, would like a copy of this, please let me know, and I'll make sure you get a copy of it. Indiana is a shall state when it comes to handguns. Indiana is one of the probably most pro-handgun states in the country. And I'm personally proud to live in that state. Indiana has a clause, the state statute 3547(1)(7), that says you must be a proper person to have a handgun license. Now, it comes down to the local, we approve it. Very seldom do I disapprove some or not recommend some. Basically, it's a recommendation. But there are times that I don't recommend. If I know that this person, if you're a domestic batterer, I'm not going to recommend you for a handgun permit. There's other criteria that says that they cannot have it if you're an alcohol abuser. If there's documentation that you're mentally unstable, those type of things. Then a local sheriff or the chief or the town marshal in Hanover can say decline. But ultimately, it's up to the state of Indiana, and ultimately up to the commissioner of the Indiana State Police to decide if that person is going to get a handgun license or not. So, like I said, very seldom do we decline them here, but we do on occasions, and I think you would expect us to do that if we're aware of somebody else being unstable. Like I said, it takes about approximately 3 to 4 months to get those back. Once you get them back, Indiana's always willing to spend a lot of money on nice licensing. If you have one, you know what I mean. It's a little pink piece of paper with no picture on it. It costs you about $125. But now we do have the lifetimers. That's $125 for a lifetime permit. And it's $40 for a 4-year permit. Most people obviously go with a lifetime permit, say probably 90% of those. That lifetime permit's good just for that, for your lifetime, unless you become involved in some kind of activity that we're aware of, and then we would petition the state to maybe have them take a look at you to make sure that you still should be carrying that license. Covered a few things, kind of jumped around here a little bit. Is there any questions before I take a seat? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry.
What's your view on constitutional carry, no licensing?
I'm sorry?
What is your view or your personal opinion on constitutional carry, no licensing?
You know, I think we probably should have some type of licensing. However, I don't believe we should make it like some states have, where it's just practically impossible. I think Indiana has a fair application process. Again, you know, there are some people out there, obviously, that you probably shouldn't be carrying a handgun. But I think we should have some kind of requirement or some kind of gauge on, you know, on who has them, and not necessarily monitor them, but all, you know, look, you know, take care of that situation in case something would arise in which we need to reevaluate their right to carry.
When you get into a situation where somebody has done something wrong, do you have an easy way to check whether they do have one of these licenses, like you would a driver's license or anything?
Yes, ma'am, that shows up if you do have a license to carry. That would indicate we would be able to access that through the computer system. Yes, ma'am.
Now, this is only for carrying license, right? You don't have to register if you own a gun.
Indiana is a non-registration state. That's a good question. We get that quite often. Do I have to register my handgun in Indiana? And the answer is no. Indiana is a non-registration state. What I recommend you do, though, is to make sure you write down that make, model, and serial number of that weapon. Keep it separate from your gun in case it would get stolen, and then we can obviously enter that in our computer system as a stolen firearm.
We've been talking about something in Florida called Stand Your Ground. Could you explain what that is? Do we have anything like that in?
Yeah, and the judge will red flag me here if I'm wrong. Indiana is a stand your ground state. In other words, I mean, if you feel that you're being, you know, you potentially be violated or you're being threatened, obviously you have a right to protect yourself in a way that's reasonable, and it all goes back to what's reasonable. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to retreat or have to flee. Indiana has similar laws. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Is a carjacking situation also?
Carjacking situation also. Yeah, I mean, a person would have to be able to articulate, you know, how they felt their life was in danger. But you know, if you fear for your life, and you think a reasonable person would fear for their own safety in those situations, and you have a right to you know, defend yourself in whatever reasonable way you see fit.
To defend yourself in your home.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
have to defend yourself inside your home.
Yeah. Well,
If someone is outside your home, within your curtilage, and they are threatening you, you have a right to defend yourself.
yeah, that's a good question. And my answer to that would be, if you're inside your home and somebody is outside your home, you still have that barrier, that door, you know, and those walls between you, you know, unless they're out there shooting into your home or something along those lines. You know, as long as you have that barrier between you.
Well, what if they're breaking the door down?
Now, if they're breaking your door down and they're coming in, I know what I'm going to do.
And I can tell you what the Chicago police told me to do.
What's that?
Shoot them and then bring them in the house.
Well, we all know Chicago has their own way of doing things. But no, if they're, you know, listen, if they're coming through your door and you know they mean harm, you have an absolute right to defend yourself. Yeah, we have what we call the castle law in Indiana, and that's your home. And if somebody's breaking into your home, I'm certainly going to protect myself and my family.
See, when they told me that, I'm assuming Chicago, they required you to wait till they came into the house technically. But they told me, go ahead and shoot them and then bring them in.
If they're banging that door down and coming through, then basically once they break the threshold of that door, then they're in your house essentially. Yes, sir.
That part is true about breaking into your home. They told me, wait till they break in, you gotta shoot them, take them in the house, and shoot them again.
I'm from Chicago. I'm from Chicago
I have a couple of cousins on the Chicago police, and the stories they tell me, they would last 5 minutes down here. But no, if they're breaking your door down and they're coming through that door, then it's a different story altogether. They're breaking that safety barrier, and it'd be a different story altogether. But, yes, sir.
Can you comment briefly on Indiana's open carry policy?
Open carry, like I'm carrying today, and I know we have a couple of our citizens. I think my good friend Brian Cole's open carrying today. But yeah, you have the right to open carry. Now, people ask me, should I do that? Should I not do that? I recommend you keep it covered with your shirt or your jacket. For the simple fact, when people see that, they become alarmed and they're going to call us. We're going to come and check. If you got that permit, you're good to go. But you have that right to open carry.
But if you're hiding it, why is it open carry then? How can it be open carry if it's covered?
Well, you still are carrying your weapon. It's just covered with your shirt. But it means open carry. I think you're just basically carrying it out where everybody can see it, correct? Is that?
Well, that and the permit requirements, are they different in Indiana for open carry versus concealed carry? Because you get a concealed carry permit, which is not the same as open carry.
I don't know that really Indiana law defines the difference in that. Is that correct? It basically, I understand your point there. The concealed carry permit basically means that you can carry a concealed permit, but you can also carry it on your side and be seen and still be within the guidelines of the law. I guess the wording on that can be confusing, but there's really not.
And my understanding was you can open carry in Indiana without a permit because you're allowed to have your weapon.
No, you have to carry it off your property, a handgun. You'd have to have a permit to carry it.
But that can't obviously be accurate because you can never get the gun to your property without a permit.
Good point. There is a statute that covers that. If you just purchase that weapon, you could carry it in your trunk, unloaded, to your residence.
Quick question. I found something here, but I want to verify with because Ohio and Illinois are pretty strict on their gun laws. There's some ranges up, some indoor ranges up in Ohio that I would like to go to. But you have to have your firearm like in the trunk and unloaded. Is that okay? Is that legal up there?
Yeah, I always recommend to just check the handgun laws in the surrounding states in which you plan on traveling to make sure that you're in compliance with them. There is a possibility, and there's a lot of loopholes that jump through, that you can get a carry permit for both the states, but that takes quite a bit of time and effort and probably money when it all boils down to it. But I would just recommend, make sure you check the surrounding states, the ones in which you plan on traveling, to see what laws they have in place to allow you to carry those. I don't want to hog all the time. I've got a couple of my friends here that certainly want to come up and speak with you, but I'd like to thank you for your time and for your attendance today and the interest in this such an important issue for all of us. Thank you.
I've got an idea for our next event. It's going to be a press conference with Sheriff Wallace, maybe sometime next month. In 1981, Ronald Reagan was addressing the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and he said, "I mean no irreverence when I mention that I once played a sheriff on TV who thought he could do his job without a gun. I was dead in the first 27 minutes of the show." He just had a way. I'd like to introduce, we got some dignitaries here. They may not describe themselves as dignitaries, but they are. Senator Jim Smith in the back. State Representative Jim Lucas. We have Judge Allison Frazier here. County Commissioner Bobby Little. And we have North Vernon Mayor, or it says Jennings County Mayor, Jerry Shepherd is here. Well, we can thank Rick Lewis for giving me the bad information there. Thanks a lot, Rick. Thanks a lot for making me look bad.